What's going on, everybody? Ageless Eternal here. We're just gonna get right into it. So, today we're talking about Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed. So, this game has been out for a while, about 2 to 3 years, and this is gonna be a rough video. So, when this game was first announced, I was personally excited for it. You know, I loved Ghostbusters. I think a lot of people love Ghostbusters, and I think anytime they hear about a Ghostbusters video game, they get so super duper excited. And ever since that one Ghostbusters video game we all loved, every other Ghostbusters video game we've seen or that's come out, we've just all just been disappointed by. And sad to say, while I do think this game had a lot of potential, and it's come closer than any of the other Ghostbusters games that's come out since that first good one, it's still just another disappointment, and I'm gonna get into it. So the major problem with this game is it's fun for maybe about a week or two max. And the reason is because there's maybe about a week or two-ish worth of, like, story, sort of. I'll go more into that. But after that, you hit a bit of a wall, and it's like, well, what now? What do I do now? And what you do now is basically the same thing you were doing when you were doing the story, except now you have less motivation? So I know that kind of sounds off or weird, or you probably don't get it. So let me explain what I mean. So the story is basically talk to X person, and then talk to other X person, then do the multiplayer, and then rinse and repeat. So basically, you talk to a person, you know, like the cast of the Ghostbusters, and then you go into a mission, you get a cutscene after you do enough missions, and then you do it over and over again until eventually you're just out of story. What's there to do after the story? More multiplayer missions. Great, except these are all the exact same thing. You do the exact same thing every single time, and there's no difference between when you were doing it just to play multiplayer or when you're doing it to do it for the story. You'd go into multiplayer, you do some multiplayer modes, and then you get more story. And once you're out of story, it's just the same multiplayer, which there's only one multiplayer mode. There's no different things. There's 4 Ghostbusters against one ghost. It can be an AI ghost. You can have AI Ghostbuster partners, or it can all be players, and that's it. There's no 2 ghosts, 8 players. It's just one version of the same mode, and then this mode has its own problems. Before I get to those problems, though, let's just go back real quick to a motivation. Like, what's my motivation to keep playing? Well, you know, there's different customization options. There's different kits and tech that you can get, but 90% of them are level-based, which you pretty much get to the maximum level you would really need within a week or two. And then after that, it's based on like a contract. Like, you do a specific thing certain amounts of times. Like, for example, one of them would be destroy X amount of relics a certain amount of times, and then you get this upgrade, right? So that would be the motivation, and then after that, there's nothing. After the tech upgrades, there's nothing. Getting back to the multiplayer, though, it has its own problem. Namely, what I would say is the balance is super weird. I would say it's practically completely unbalanced. I would say this is due to multiple factors. A little bit of the gameplay itself, but mostly how this game actually requires you to win. So, as an example, at the start of the game, the Ghostbusters have to destroy 3 rifts and or capture the ghost 3 times and or let's say capture the ghost 2 times and destroy 1 rift, because the rifts essentially act as respawn tokens for the ghost. That said, as you can see at the top of the screen, there's actually a bar that's called the building haunt. It's the building haunt meter. It goes from 0 to 100%. So the ghost's objective is to terrify the inhabitants of the building and break things until that haunt meter goes all the way up to 100%. Sounds pretty fair, right? So here's the problem. It doesn't matter if you're on the Ghostbusters team and you manage to destroy all the rifts, or it doesn't matter if you're on the ghost side and you're a ghost and you got captured 3 times, or if you even managed to get that building haunt meter up at all. Because regardless of how well you performed as a Ghostbuster or a ghost, the result of the last few minutes of the game is the same. And the result is all of the progress you made as a Ghostbuster or as a ghost doesn't matter, because the win of the whole entire match entirely relies on the last minute or 2. I would say it's about 1 or 2 minutes. And what it is as a Ghostbuster, you gotta chase down the ghost. And as a ghost, you get a bit of a speed boost, and you gotta survive for like 1 to 2 minutes. You just run around non-stop. Now, here's the problem is, while in the first section of the game, I wouldn't exactly call it half, maybe first 75% of the game, as a ghost, you actually have to stop around and actually, haunt the place. In the last minute or 2, you have no incentive to stop or slow down. All you do is run. Meanwhile, the Ghostbusters have to run every which way trying to find you, and if they can't, no matter how well they did in the first 75%, if they can't get you, if they can't capture you, they lose. And the problem with that is it's really hard to capture the ghost, especially in this last little bit, for multiple reasons. One is the little proton gun that they give you. It's really hard to control the ghost when you actually have it in the tether, and it's hard to pull it into the ghost trap. So you usually do need essentially at least 2 or 3 people to help and get the ghost in there. And also on top of that, there's also the problem of you're not exactly given a greater awareness of where the ghost is. So the ghost is still just as difficult to find. It's just as difficult to chase after, if not more difficult, because it's given a slight little speed boost in this last little bit of the chase. And it's incredibly, incredibly difficult. So again, no matter how well you did, if you cannot capture the ghost, you will lose if you can't capture the ghost in this last little 2-minute run. Now, it might be easier if you're playing with friends or people on a microphone who can help coordinate to get the ghost, but if you're not, you're kind of screwed. Even if the ghost is in AI, it's still incredibly difficult to chase after and to actually nab this ghost. So, credit where credit's due, I think the devs for this game must be passionate, because for some reason, they still seem to update this game 2 to 3 years later, even though I'm pretty sure no one's playing this game anymore. I don't think there's enough people playing for them to justify continuing to update it, but they do, and it's about maybe one small to medium update every 6 to 8 months, So that's crazy, even though they take forever. So to wrap this up, I think this game had a lot of potential and it was very exciting. And I really wish I could love this game, but it honestly dies off too quick. It's not fun beyond maybe a week or two, and just if I have to review this for personal reasons, I would say a 4 out of 10. But acknowledging that a lot of this is my bias for Ghostbusters and multiplayer games, I have to say this is probably actually closer to a 2 out of 10. Not because it's buggy, but simply because there's just not enough. Simply because even if everything isn't buggy, this game still feels like it's a shell, or not a shell, but like a foundation to something bigger. But even if you have all the foundations set, if you don't have all the walls and the roofs and the tiles and the flooring, it's still not a complete product. And that's what this game feels like. Anyways, thank you all for listening. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like, subscribe, dislike, tell me I'm dumb. Just give me your genuine opinion. Tell me what you actually think. Anyways, this has been Ageless Eternal. I'm out.